So good afternoon, everyone. I welcome Dr. Harish on behalf of Department of Computer Science and IT, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, and AICTE ATAL to this session. I'm very happy to introduce him to all of you. Dr. Harish is a management consultant and a teacher. He conducts business and management audits and also runs a small-scale industry of himself. He is a blend of business, management, law, psychology, and commerce. He teaches management and leadership-oriented themes to students and faculties across universities in the world. His reading passion is reflected through his personal collection of over 18,000 books and 140,000 clippings and articles for reading and reference. He was associated with University of Mysore for establishing a master course in financial analytics and management program. He delivered his thoughts in various faculty development programs organized by university across the world. He works with corporates to endeavor analytical and problem-solving skills across India and various countries on the globe. He works with leading corporate institutions like L&T, Wipro, Intel, Dunlop, Infosys to enhance continuous learning. And today, he will take us to the journey of workplace management. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being over here for delivering this fantastic topic called workplace management. Now, I request
so
you,
much,
sir.
Professor. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah, to please take the charge of the session and proceed for the session.
Thank you so much, Professor. It was always a wonderful privilege, running up and understanding your passion to have this program also. And day 3, and I'm sure all my friends here, because I can see 44 participants here. I don't know. I mean, I always look at magic with things happening, and I always ascribe it to something divine. When I just even look at FDP, I see some magic here. So F is the first day of December. Today is the first day of December. D is December, so the first December, and I'm privileged to be with wonderful professors. So 1st December and professors. I don't think there can be any better magic than that. And I see 44 participants, and that I suppose ensures that I really take off. Because 44 is such a fantastic number. It's 40 and 4. And 40 for me, I mean, if you really look at 40, the way it is spelled, F-O-R-T-Y. And that is the only word in English which depicts a number and where the sequencing of the letters are continuously increasing. F is the 6th letter, O is the 15th letter, R is the 18th letter, T is the 20th letter, and Y is the 25th letter. And I wish that not just this program, but all my friends here, personally and professionally, grow and develop and bloom and blossom. And 40 in Roman numerals is written excel. And I wish all of you excel in whatever you do, dream and deliver. And 4, the other 4, 40 plus 4. 4 again is a magical word. And 4 is the only word in English where it has got the same number of letters that it means. I'm sure all of you together will make this faculty development program something meaningful, something impactful, something really scalable and replicable across all your passions and across this planet. Now, having said that, so let's start, shall we? So how do we manage workplace? Now that is increasingly becoming vital, critical and crucial, simply for the fact that workplace as it was even about 18 or 20 months back, it has seen a radical and revolutionary change. Any place can become a workplace today. So you don't have to have dedicated places. So work from home and work on the move. So with all such things happening and change becoming so rapid in the world, how are we ensuring that we manage it? We really learn what's happening. We really predict what's going to be happening. We launch, we leverage, we listen. And how do we really start loving our work? How do we really add value to work? And that's exactly what I will be privileged to be spending an hour and 55 minutes from now with highly qualified ladies and gentlemen here. Thank you so much. All the more, I understand how it is, to be sitting through a program after lunch. It's a challenge. I always ask people, if you were to spell challenge, it's CHALLENGE. And just imagine if it were to be a Hindi word, and how do you pronounce it? If it was a Hindi word written in English. So it is chalenge. So shall we? Chalenge. That's a challenge. That's a challenge. So the theme of the program is leadership for academic excellence. Leadership. How do leaders ace? Where do you find leaders acing everything? And today, in a world where everything is going towards the best, everyone aces, and you have to manage aces with you. And the A, C, E for me, and anybody for that matter, and any place on this planet. And only when you have the A and the C and the E, you can really look at and see and identify leaders. And leaderships, again, from the I to the I always look at the entire spectrum. When I say I to the I, that's from the individual at a micro level. That's you and I, to the next rung as institutions. Your college is an institution. My consulting firm is an institution. Infosys is an institution. Bata is an institution. Castrol is an institution. To the third rung, industry. In which industry are you working? You're in the knowledge industry. You're in the education industry. There's someone in the paint industry, someone in the IT industry, someone in the cement industry. So from the individual to the institution to the industry and to my country, India, and internationally, globally. How are we going to make our workplaces globally effective, globally creating that impact, and to be scalable and to be replicable across sectors, across the spectrum and the scope? How do we do that? That's going to be a challenge, and that's going to be an eternal challenge. And each and every day is fluid. It's not just flexible, it's fluid. So you don't really know. And to do something like that is what gives us mojo. And for you as teachers, you are true leaders because you are creating leaders. You're not creating followers. You're creating leaders. You are role models. How does the world look up to you? That is where you really achieve and feel and touch and sense and smell excellence. And that's what we're going to be discussing about that, of how do we really manage workplaces. And workplaces could be anywhere, right from a micro kitchen at home to the largest factories and industries across this world. And how are they going to be panning out? So the A, C, and E, when I said the A's, how do you ace it? Look at the 4 dimensions under each of these 3, A, C, and E. And if you really look at any leader right through history and across any dimension of human excellence, you will find all of these people invariably have these 4 plus 4 plus 4 dimensions of A and C and E, totally 12. Probably I would even go to the extent of saying 12 zodiac signs too. And the 4 under A are ability, agility, adaptability, and acceptability. If you really look at any leader, look at your own self sitting here with me. I'm privileged having 53 champions with me here. You have that ability, you have the capability, you have the skill set, you have the competence. Else you would not have become professors. Else you would not have become role models. Else people would not have listened to you. Having said that, just touch your hearts and say, hey, am I in touch and tune and track with what's happening in the world? Along with my ability and capability and competence and skill set, am I agile? Am I quick and fast and rapid? Am I faster than my own smartphone? Do my own people at home or students in the class say, wow, you are really rapid and you could really compete with any electronic gadget around me? So the ability, agility, adaptability. Can you work anywhere on anything with anybody on any project, any assignment, any task? Or do we say, hey, I'm in a comfort zone. I'm already in a very cozy area. I wouldn't move. The ability to be agile and adaptable are the hallmarks of a leader. And then the acceptability. However good you are, however, even if you're the best human to have ever been born on this planet, are you acceptable? And that starts from home. Charity begins at home. Are you acceptable to your own family members, your neighbor, your society, your neighbors, your society, your community, your fraternity, your country, your world? Are you acceptable? So these are the four defining dimensions under A. Now under C, and we will all synthesize the whole thing as we go forward over the next hour and 50 minutes. Communication skills. When I say communication skills, it's not just about Marathi, Gujarati, Kannada, Tamil, or Telugu, or Hindi, or Konkani. It is about how you talk and speak and present and negotiate and walk and sit and do anything. How are you communicating? How are you projecting your ideas? How are you promoting your thought processes, your opinions, your views, your viewpoints? How do you communicate? How impactful are you? And then we come to the nitty-gritties of communication. Your language skills, your vocabulary, all of those things are the nitty-gritties that really form someone's ability to be a powerful communicator. Leaders are powerful communicators. I'm sure all of you here will agree with me. The second C of the four C's are the critical thinking skills. In an increasingly challenging and competitive globe, anything and everything you need to be critically thinking. What do I do next? Including where do I open my account? I have a provident fund. Do I also invest in a public provident fund, or do I invest in a mutual fund? If I invest in a mutual fund, do I go to HSBC or HDFC? And this is exactly what defines a leader. How do you think critically? Do I borrow in dollars or euros? Do I go for imported machinery or indigenous machinery? Do I get it by air or by ship? All of those things are critical thinking enablers. And leaders have that dimension. And the third C is collaboration. How do you really team up? How do you merge? How do you gel? How do you blend? How do you synthesize? How do you come together? How do you partner? How do you marry? How do you amalgamate? How do you even bring your five senses together so that your ESP works all the time? How do you work with your students and how do you bring in the entire ecosystem in your own institutions? Right from your college, your governance committee, your council, your principal, your fellow colleagues in the staff room, your students and their parents and the society and the community outside. How do you blend them? How do you take them all together on the same track? How do you really have that shared thinking and the shared vision? How do you ensure that you make them see what you see? How do you collaborate? And 1 + 1 is 3. It's synergies. How do you create synergies? How do you create values? And if we are not creating values, we are just existing. We are just living. We are just surviving, thriving. And leaders thrive. And leaders help others thrive. And you as leaders are helping your students thrive. I always tell people, teachers are perhaps the only set of humans on this planet who are not concerned only with income. They're always bothered about outcome. How do we do that? And when you say the input and the output, how do you really manage the throughput? And teachers are leaders, and teachers are specialists, teachers are experts, and teachers are role models who define and redefine the throughput process. That is why teachers are gods. How do we do that? How do we really excel? How do we really raise the bar? How do we really get into self-petition? Because competition is for rats. And that's why someone said, don't get into a rat race, because even if you win, you're still a rat. Champions and leaders and champions like you're not competing with someone else in the staff room. You're not competing with someone else in another college in the university or in another university. You are competing against yourself. Have you become a better version of yourself vis-a-vis the same you last morning, the same you last month, the same you last year? So the competition for a thoroughbred leader professional is he or she himself or herself. Fresh? Are you novel? Are you innovative? Are you creating something stupendous, something remarkable? Have you really done something extraordinary in the classroom? The way you teach, the way you write, the way you take notes, the way you research, the way you refer. That's a leader. Because if you're doing the same thing over the last 3 years, or 13 years, or 23 years, you're only reinventing the wheel. And as leaders, now the 4 C's are communication skills, critical thinking skills, creativity, and collaboration. Then the E, the A and the C and the E. That's how you ace it. You have the energy, and the energy is the entire spice. The entire spice, just as how spice adds value to even a curries in typical Indian homes. The SPICE, spiritual, physical, intellectual, cultural, and economic energy, and all 24/7. Are you really energetic? Are you really on your toes? Are you something beyond? Have you gone beyond your orbits? Have you shifted gears? Have you switched orbits? That's energy. And in the process, as a true role model, as a true leader, are you energizing people? That's the second E. I may have energy, I may have abundant energy, but if I'm not energizing people around me, it's a real liability. Are you an asset? Are you a true golden asset? Are you a blue chip? Let's ask ourselves. And we'll come to that more in detail a little later. Third is excel. You need to excel. Whatever you do, whether you cook, or you're a cobbler, a tailor, or a welder, or a painter, or whoever, gardener, whoever, and with all due respect to all of these professions or occupations, are you the best? And are you the best in the world? Are you the best?
है मैसेज आप देखिए आ गया
Put E.
वो तो खैर हम डिलीट कर रहे हैं ये कैसे इसका
Do I hear a cross talk there?
क्या
Yeah. There are some mic which I think they are not muted. All participants are requested to mute their mic,
आप
please.
हम वही करें कि इसमें नए मैसेज क्यों नहीं आ रहे हैं BBA फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर
Please, whoever, my friend, I understand. I mean, these things are also challenges working remote. And the fourth E is the edge. Suppose someone were to ask you, and that can even start at home. If your parents, suppose your son or daughter asks you, Papa, Mama, what is it that makes you better than someone else in the neighborhood? What is that you have? I have an Aadhaar card, you have an Aadhaar card, I have a PAN card, you have a PAN card. An English poet said, a rose is a rose is a rose. So are we also saying a teacher is a teacher is a teacher, a college is a college is a college? I think that should happen. Leadership and leaders ensure that there is a distinct edge. We will come to specifics. I'm sure most of you, at least in your sessions, will be using terms like the USP and the EVP. What is your USP? What is a leader's USP? And what is your EVP? What is the extra value perception? What is that other than taking attendance and managing a classroom for 55 minutes, ensuring examinations are done, you are evaluated. All these typical run-of-the-mill vanilla offerings that typical Indian colleges and institutions offer today, how are we different? What is the edge? What is the edge? So that's the ACE. That's the ACE. Having said that, we will slowly delve. And I also request my friends, anytime, anywhere you may stop me and then use the chat box also. Let's make it interactive. And for me, BAMU, I'm thankful to everyone in the organizing committee here and all my friends who have taken time off to be with me here for 2 hours from the BAMU. So that for me, it's brilliance, actions, and how do we manage and how do we undertake different things. That's BAMU for me. And for most businesses, human effort, yours and mine, more than anything else, will make the difference between winners and losers. Technology, yes. Phenomenal changes happening across the world. Phenomenal changes, spectacular changes, significant changes are being witnessed in every dimension of human life, human excellence. Yet at the end of the whole thing, it is human effort that makes a difference. That makes a difference. The new avatar of talent. And how do we bring acceleration to managing understanding? Pamu again for me. Sorry about that. The new avatar of talent in the millennium will be the knowledge professional, someone like you. How do you ensure that you make everyone in the class like you? Champions like you, specialists like you, experts like you, leaders like you. Innovative and with business savvy. With all due respects, my maid servant also knows at what time she needs to come in and what time she needs to go out, and how does she network and how does she do it. I mean, she may not be using robots and computers and algorithms, but then she has got it naturally and she has nurtured it. And that is exactly what the younger generation now, who are in our classrooms as raw materials and to be finished products, need to be really honed. And the responsibility and the workplace management begins here and now. How do you make a children quick on the uptake with an instinctive ability to network and processing unbridled ambition? They'll be propelled by an urge to experiment. Are we as teachers really allowing them to flower, to bloom, to blossom, to grow, to develop? To make them experiment, to make them realize, to make them, hey, it burns, hey, it's cold. Or are they studying the same thing? Are they reinventing the wheel? Is it the same A for apple, B for ball, and C for cat? Ask, touch our hearts. And people now will scan avenues that can spur their creativity. And how are we as leaders in the classrooms and colleges and institutions and organizations and in universities, in educational centers and centers of excellence, ensuring that this happens more as a well-oiled machine? We do that. Is it happening? And if it is happening, I'm sure it must be happening with champions like you. And if it is it happening the way it should be done? How do you compare it? What are the benchmarks? What are the parameters? What are the yardsticks? What are the standards? How often have you beaten yourself? Are you recreating value? ASK. And look at the magic with the word ASK. And only when you consistently and consciously and continuously ASK ask, your attitudes, your skills, and your knowledge improves. The moment and the minute we stop asking, we have stopped. We have ceased to thrive. That's disaster. The rules are changing. Let's ask ourselves, are the rules changing at homes, at our own homes? Are the rules changing in our own classrooms, our staff rooms, our colleges? And if the rules are not changing, what are you as a leader doing there? Have you contributed to it? Have you catalyzed the process? Organizations are reconstructing their very business architecture. In the process of reinvention, there's a growing realization that it is not technology. Technology is there. Whether you like it or not, it will come into your rooms. It is not the net. The internet, the speeds are going faster and faster. But then what do you do with that speed? Are you coping up with the speed and the pace and the rapidity? But intellectual capital, which will see companies and organizations through the 21st century. A strong talent base will be the key differentiating factor. And how are we as leaders ensuring that this talent base becomes the best, becomes a benchmark, and becomes something that will be able to face any eventuality on this planet, any time in the future? Who cares about teamwork? TEAM. Together, everyone achieves more. Together, everyone achieves more. Together, everyone achieves synergy. Together, everyone achieves progress. Together, everyone really gets into development and growth. How do we do it? How do we do it? The hows and the whys are paramount, are prime. How do we make a difference? Sorry, that's going fast too. How do we make a difference? Your ability as leaders to ensure that the younger leaders and the younger generation are able to find the right solutions, the proper solutions, the apt solutions, the correct solutions. And finding that often requires seeing the same thing, the familiar, in an unexpected way, in a different way, in a radical way. Gone are those days when the entire class had to give one answer to one question. Today, can you give me 62 ways of solving a problem? And out of the 62, can you decide which is the most viable, most feasible, most scalable, most practical, most pragmatic way of approach? How do you do it? And all this, how do you do it fast? How do you do it fast? And how do you beat the competition? That's the world. So are we really ensuring that our students in the classrooms and institutions are really brought up and on the same page and the same platform? Because the paradox always remains, and you as the best practicing leaders will understand, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this dimension better. We are teaching the present day children to face the future using the past methods. Nothing is aligned. How do you even really bring all of them on the same page? So as teachers, are we going beyond the 3 hours of reading, writing, arithmetic to referencing, to resolutions, to relationships and researching? And how are we also mentoring and hand-holding our children? And once we do that, that is true leadership. That's leadership. How are we doing that? How are we doing that? Let's ask. So we will enhance our understanding and grip over the entire business only when we know the entire spectrum of what is needed, what are the gaps, how do we bridge this, how will we be able to prepare ourselves for newer and emerging dimensions, and simply, primarily, taking everyone along for sustained development. And when I say along, everyone along, it's all the stakeholders, including your own distinguished colleagues, people who are reporting to you, people who you are reporting to, the students, the parents, the society, the community, the neighborhood. All of these things are stakeholders. Are you really taking all of them, including the next dimension, another vertical, the institution industry, the academia industry partnership? Do we really know what is that is required once my student gets out of school, gets out of college, what he or she will be doing? Even if he's working for someone or doing something on his own, how will he really be able to stand on his own feet and in the clouds? So for me, Bamu here is breakthroughs achieved methodically unites. How do we do it? How do we go about doing it methodically, systematically? How do we create methods and systems, value systems? How do we create techniques and formula? And that is where we as teachers need to really showcase ourselves as leaders. And it begins. And how do we manage the VUCA world? Gone are those days, I'm sure most of you, just a few years back, people say, hey, it's a flat world, it's a crowded world, it's a borderless world. Yes, we all know, we have realized it. It's a borderless world, it's a crowded world, it's a flat world, it's a hot world. But today it's a VUCA world. It's a VUCA world. Anything concrete or abstract you look at around us is highly volatile. Not just the Sensex or the gold prices or the petroleum prices. Anything is volatile. Whatever we know for sure, you're not sure. It's uncertain. It's uncertain. A black hole does not allow light to pass. But then, now just 2 days back, you have 2 black holes colliding and light escaping. So we need to rewrite physics now. You really have to look at assets and alkalis differently. You need to look at our assets and liabilities in the balance sheet differently. You need to look at history differently. You need to look at countries and geography and winds, volcanoes and earthquakes differently. The whole thing is uncertain. And whatever little we know is highly complex when it comes to applications. And that is where most of us, unfortunately, are not able to make progress. And the A here is anything we know, or we claim to know, or we think we know, or we assume to know is ambiguous. Is ambiguous. The monsoon, the rain year in India begins on the 1st of June and ends. Does it begin on the 1st of June? We have rains even towards the end of November. Is it the northeast monsoon? I don't know. Should it be the southwest monsoon? I don't know. Is it the El Nino current? I don't know. Now, what do we know? Now that is the VUCA world. That is where the redefinition of leadership starts. And that is why Marcel Proust says the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new lands, not in Columbus finding the Americas or Vasco da Gama finding India. Wow, hats off, Eureka. But in seeing with new eyes. How do you look at the same thing differently from different angles, different perceptions, different perspectives, different platforms? How do you look at the same problem differently? How do you look at the same solution differently? How do you look at the same decision differently? That is where we as teachers need to assume roles of leadership. And once we assume that role, we need to excel at it. And how do we excel? Daily, hourly. There is simply nothing called a hiatus or a rest or a break there. How do we do that? Careers too. Teamwork. The more successful you are, the more you'll focus on teamwork. It is very, very rare to find extraordinarily successful people on this planet over years and years of human existence on this planet who have been successful individually. Even if a Sachin Tendulkar or a Virat Kohli has to score a century, there's a whole lot of work, including analysis and data management, right from how a bowler bowls the fourth ball in his 13th over and how the ball will swing in the Wankhede Stadium and the Green Park. The whole thing, there is a backup. If a Vishwanathan Anand has to make his 13th move with a black pawn facing a Carlson, he needs to know. And who supports that? And that is where teamwork is becoming increasingly critical. Nothing happens individually. Even we have gods. I'm not trying to take anything about religion here. Even gods work in teams. Organizations value teamwork for competitive advantage. Everything is becoming complex and dynamic. The jobs are becoming complex and dynamic. It's multidisciplinary. Someone in finance needs to really understand what is economics all about. And that is why someone said the volcanic ash in Iceland drops in East Africa, increasing the fertility of the soil there. And once the fertility of the soil goes up, production of roses go up. And when production of roses go up in East Africa, the cost of raw materials to the perfumery industry in France goes down. So volcano in Iceland and perfume industry here. Look at the connectivity. And how do we find connectivity? Trends and patterns. Trends are friends. And how do we as leaders bring this dimension in the classroom? Academics no longer ivory tower. Even academicians, even you as specialists and wonderful role model leaders have to be researching and referring daily. There is nothing called, hey, I'm a PhD. Hey, I got 5 degrees, so learning stops. No way. If you READ, you will LEAD. The day you stop READ, we will be DEAD. Then, how do you do translational research? How do we get in? How do we enhance lab productivity? All of these things need a teamwork. And that is where the workplace management is critical. We all swim in the ocean of VUCA, knowingly, unknowingly, concretely, abstractly, thoughtfully, or just not bothered. Yet we all do it. Let's ask ourselves, are we preparing for it by our ability to make ourselves VUCA? And for me, it is not volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous now as VUCA stands for. For me, VUCA is, are you adding value to every student and every class and every lecture and every session that you're managing? Ask yourself, and I'm sure each one of my 58 friends are doing it. Nevertheless, it is like going for your periodic medical checkups. I know I got a heart. I know it is at least beating 2 minutes back. I know I have got a liver and 2 kidneys, but then I need to go for my periodic medical checkups to say whether it is working the way it ought to. Are you adding value? Are you creating value? Are you versatile? Just imagine if I claim to be teaching security analysis and portfolio management, What happened in the Bombay Stock Exchange yesterday will not for categorically happen tomorrow. And if something is happening or not happening in New York Stock Exchange, is not what's going to be happening in the derivatives market next month. So right from the block. So the idea here is whether you're teaching physics or poetry, accounts or auditing, you need to be versatile. You need to be able to apply it. You need to bring in the practical dimensions. Are we understanding why some things are happening and why some things are not happening? And are we making our children understand it? Let's ask. Are we undertaking different complex projects and assignments and tasks? Are we complete in whatever we approach and whatever we do, whatever we deliver? Do we have that element of competitiveness? Am I even competing with someone at the Harvard or Stanford? I'm not saying that's the ultimate. It's not that Howard and they're yardsticks, they're benchmarks. Can I tomorrow deliver something at the World Economic Forum and what is going to be money and currencies and challenges in the year 2023, from 2023 to 2026? That is competitiveness for me. How are we making our children adaptable? How are we really making them so confident and carrying convictions and clarity of thought and purpose to be able to say, hey, I'll do this. Are we action-oriented? And I'm coming back to agility. Whatever we do, it's not just training, it is doing, it is executing. It's not just planning, it's executing. It is monitoring, it's evaluating, it is scoring, it is shifting gears, it is changing orbits. That's agility. Globalization affects how and with whom we communicate in the marketplace and in the workplace. And we are today confining our discussions only toward workplace management. More products and services are being consumed outside of the country of origin than ever before, thus increasing global economic interdependence and global competition. In addition, organizations and institutions are embracing offshore outsourcing as a way to stay competitive. Anything can move anywhere, anytime. Anything can happen anytime, anywhere. There is absolute, total, real disruption. Many functions are being shifted to India, the Philippines, Malaysia, Canada, Russia, and other countries for the low labor costs. And labor costs are an arbitrage. Are our students capable of saying, hey, I can give you twice the value, 3 times the value, 8 times the value? And when I say value, is it different? High workforce education levels and stabilization of technology. How convinced are we when we offer this? Your competitors will have access to the same kind of data because everything is available to anyone, anytime, anywhere, anyhow. So how do we make our children different? Do we give them 4 hands, 5 legs? Wait. How do we make them do it? How do we make them excel? So our future success depends on developing a new kind of expertise. Now, this is where we as leaders should be able to inculcate and imbibe this in our classrooms. The ability to leverage your proprietary knowledge strategically. Everything is strategy today. Even whether to buy 2 liters of milk or 2.5 liters of milk, and whether to buy skimmed milk or everything is strategy. Your weight management is strategy. In which school to put your child is strategy. Do you send him by an auto rickshaw or a van is strategy? You can't be simply doing anything and delegating and abrogating things today. But in unrelated knowledge assets are tap, fallow, undeveloped knowledge. What we are typically doing in classrooms is, yes, there is an element and a box of knowledge that has already been produced and we are disseminating it. What about knowledge that has not been there? What is that has not been touched upon, not been tapped into, not even understood? How do we make our children open their senses towards identifying that? That is leadership. The day I say that is where the light is, and if I can make people say, hey, I see reason there, let me go behind it, that's a leader. That's a leader. We will enhance our understanding and grip over the entire business only when we know the entire spectrum of what is needed. What are the gaps? Again, doing this. An AICTE Commission study mapping the future, shaping new workplace learning and performance competencies, has identified just 8 existing and emerging trends. Friends, just ask yourselves, where are we vis-a-vis this? Are we ensuring that as leaders, we are really holding the beacon light in our classrooms? 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Drastic times, drastic measures. The greatest thing that hit all of us, irrespective of caste, creed, color, country, was the recent pandemic. Drastic times, drastic measures. We have come out of it. But then there is something again waiting to hit. But then now I think we are better placed. We say, hey, come on, man. Blurred lines. There's no clarity as such. Blurred. How do you wade through it? Whether it's life or in work, it's blurred. It's a small world and it is shrinking. New faces, new expectations, and great expectations. Finally, a security alert right from your smartphones being bombarded with messages. Don't divulge, don't reveal your CVV, don't reveal your Aadhaar card number. Meaning people are getting smarter by the day. So how do you ensure that you protect yourself, promote yourself, project yourself? How do you protect yourself first? How do you protect your identity? How do you protect your data? So security is a matter of great concern. It is not the typical thief or the dacoits that we had, that we saw, we got to hear about. It's all in the space between the 2 years. The world is changing. It will change fast. It's a dangerous world, and it's going to become even more dangerous. We may not be interested in chaos, but chaos is interested in us. And Tom Peters wrote one of his wonderful books, like Thriving in Chaos. Yeah, there is chaos, but how to thrive? How to thrive? There are fast bowlers, but still batsmen score centuries. So the 8 unmet needs, my friends, you are all leaders and you have seen the world. You have really done it all. You have researched, you have done reference, you have learned, you have read, you have studied, you have shared, you have participated, you have written books, you have written articles, you have evaluated, you have done everything. And I'm sure you will agree with me when I say these are the 8 unmet needs at whatever age or stage and whatever age, state or zilla or gram in India is. To be able to gain a global perspective. Something that I do here has got a ramification somewhere in Brazil or in Vietnam or in Finland. Or something that is happening in Czechoslovakia or Bulgaria or Spain has got an impact on me. Developing leadership skills. Let's make all our children like you. Champions like you. Honing the integration skills. How do you integrate it? Nothing is a standalone thing. Everything is connected. Everything is integrated. How do you integrate it? Recognizing organizational realities and implementing effectively. How do you implement it? How do you execute it? I was just telling someone the other day, one company out of the 9,500 listed companies in one of the 23 stock exchanges in India, called the Bombay Stock Exchange, one of the stock exchanges in India, and India is one of the 194 countries in the world. So in one country, in one stock exchange, one company called Infosys, the 1 minute sale is 25 lakh rupees. Now just imagine, I mean, you can have your own guesses of what will, if that is the turnover, what will be the profit? If that is the profit, what will be the tax? What will be the direct tax and what will be the indirect tax? If that is the direct tax and the indirect tax, for every minute lost, we are sometimes late, we sometimes not bothered, our productivity is low, our efficiency is low, our effectiveness is low, our efficacy is low. For every minute, if you're going to be losing that, just imagine you're losing just about 1 lakh rupees a minute by way of taxes. That means some of our roads, some of our bridges, some of our dams, some of our lighting is not happening because someone somewhere was late by a minute. And multiply that by 17 lakh companies in a poor country called India. So why are we losing? How are we losing? And that's where again I tell myself, what is WWW? It is not World Wide Web. WWW is 1, what went wrong? 2, what we waste. That dimension should really start when a little child in your class is growing, is blooming. And how does someone act creatively and innovatively? How does someone think critically and communicate clearly? And when I say communicate, it is not just about English. No way. English is one of the 4,900 languages spoken on this planet. He or she, let him talk or speak anything, walk or sit or stand or move or drink or eat. All this is communication. The way he dresses and smells is communicating. The way he laughs and smiles and chuckles is communicating. How does someone communicate? And clearly. How does someone understand the role? And even we as teacher leaders, as role models, are we understanding our roles, our responsibilities, and the purpose of our business? And when someone says, hey, that's not your business, business does not necessarily mean dealing with money or some sale of goods and profits and losses and balance sheets and income tax. Business is what you do or don't do or undo or redo. The 8th one is understanding the limits of models and markets. Yes, a model may work in Argentina in the month of March and may have worked in Belgium in 1978. You cannot replicate it. How do you ensure that a student in my classroom is so fertile in his or her brain to be able to think of any situation and say, hey, this is exactly why it is happening, and this perhaps will be the solution for it. How do we create God? How do we create gods? I'm getting into radical philosophy now. It is not God's creating us. How do you as champion leaders, as gurus, create gods now in the classroom? That's a leader. That's a leader. One of the defining characteristics of the change is that it will be less driven by countries or corporations. Gone are the days when USA was a superpower, USSR was, yes, they still remain due to that nuclear power. But then today, it is more driven by real people, you and I. It will unleash unprecedented creativity, advancement of knowledge, and economic development. But at the same time, yes, there's always a flip part to a coin. It will tend to undermine safety net systems and penalize the unskilled. And that is the sorry state of affairs. If I am not really good, if I am not adept, if I'm not adapting myself to whatever is happening around me in the world, I'm penalized. I go down the drain. That can be hurtful. And that can again, in terms of magnitude, destroy countries. How do we as teachers stem the rot? How do we as teachers tell our students, hey, wake up? So the vision, look at a vision. There's nothing about religion here. But then to a large extent, why I have captured this, why I thought I should be sharing it with my champion friends here is simply for the fact that it simply captures everything. Coca-Cola, the company's vision statement says, 1 billion hours ago, human life appeared on earth. 1 billion minutes ago, Christianity emerged. 1 billion seconds ago, the Beatles changed music forever. 1 billion Coca-Colas ago was yesterday morning. Coca-Cola makes 1 billion Coca-Colas every day. Should you drink? Should you not drink? All of those things are secondary. That's not in the purview of whatever I'm discussing with my friends today. The question we ask ourselves now is, what must we do to make 1 billion Coca-Colas ago be this morning? In simple words, For my mother to understand, it simply said, how to double the production. Now, is it as easy as that? Now, how do you integrate all the M's? I'll come to those M's. I'll come to those M's. How do you integrate all the M's? Just look at some M's that I was able to capture. How do you get the mastery? Look at the M, mastery over materials, markets, marketing, methods, models, modules, machinery, maintenance, measurements, metrics, monitoring, micro, macro, motivation, management information systems, media, manpower, mergers, mercantile laws, moving ahead, mix of products and projects and assignments and tasks, meanings, mission, mindsets, money, mandates, manifestos, mainstays, mainframes, and management. All these are M's. All these are M's. How do you bring all of them together to make this, to make change one company? So how do we change the world? How do we change our classrooms? How do we change their homes? How do we change their states, districts, towns? It's a challenge. And doing something like that is what Coca-Cola used to come out with that catchy slogan, "A dil mange more." How do we ensure that this happens in a classroom and our students are catalyzed, vitalized, energized, stimulated? How do we do that? That is where we play the roles of leaders. Look at the changing world. Look at the changing world. People are emerging as bundles of skills. Gone are those days when one person was born a carpenter, worked a carpenter, lived like a carpenter, died a carpenter, and passed on his art to his sons and grandsons. Continue. But then if you really look at around, everyone has got 2, 3, 8, 15, 30 skills today. Organizations were working on one. If I was only doing brown shoes of 9 size, I was only doing it all through my life. Today, organizations are constellations of projects. Agencies as brokers, certifiers, and developers of talent. Time to be did to the old-fashioned payroll employee. Gone are those days when you simply had to present yourself in front of your personnel manager or HR manager saying, "Sir, I'm alive and kicking. My salary is due." Contributing. And wherever you are and whoever you are you really adding value? And you are respected only when you're adding value. And someone loosely said, I'm not trying to advocate that philosophy or subscribe to that. Nevertheless, but that's the reality. Someone said, if you have money, take your seat. Else, take your feet. That's the world. Because if I don't see money somewhere, if I don't see profit somewhere, if I don't see productivity somewhere, if I don't see performance somewhere, if I don't see growth somewhere, if I don't see development somewhere, I'm wasting my time with you. That's how people think today. So when I'm spending 3 minutes and 14 seconds with you, what is that I'm getting? So the return on investment is what people see. If I invest my money in a particular mutual fund or a fixed deposit or a recurring deposit, the first thing I ask is, 1, will I get it back? Safety. 2, when will I get it back? Duration. 3, how much will I get it back? And then how much should be better than the rest? So the same way, a student is also looking at you and the world is looking at the student. So how do we as leaders redefine the whole thing now? That is leadership. Friends, let's ask, are we building this in personally, professionally, and to the public? And the public here in your case are the students and the planet. This is how the planet is going. Strategic thinking, innovation, team working and leadership, business communication, right from writing emails to your etiquette and accent and all of these things are required because it is truly globalized today. You may have your office in Aurangabad or Mumbai or Pune, but you are dealing with an American customer who pays you euros with technology from Japan and raw materials from Australia passing through the Gulf, through globalization. So we need to know, sitting in Aurangabad or Pune, what is going to be the weather conditions in Chile and Portugal, and whether that ship that you have placed the order, which is bringing it, can pass through the Suez Canal. So you got to know all these dimensions, and people know. So meaning, what essentially needs to be really as leaders sent across to students in a typical classroom is integrating things, and being a team manager. Team manager is in whatever you are. Suppose you are a professor of physics or computer science, you should be so strong and so deep that no one should be able to shake you. But then at the same time, your wings should be so wide across that you should be able to touch right from agriculture to zoology, to agronomy, to xylophones. That is what is happening in the world. Students doing it. That is leadership. When we tell them, hey, this is what's happening in the world, this is what is happening here, this is the gap. Come on, let me help you bridge that. And leaders construct and create bridges. Leaders help the others cross the bridges. Leaders help people say, if there is a situation of a flood overflowing this bridge, I will also ensure that, yes, I will take you across. I will mentor you. I will coach you. I will teach you. I will tutor you. I will instruct you. I will handhold you. That's a leader. That's excellence. So change is the only constant. Let's find ways to handle competition, monopolies, changing industry structure, increasing costs, political instability. What do we really work on? How are we really making our children like heavyweight boxers? Are we making our children anticipate where the organization or the institution or the company or the college or the university is going to be in 5 years? Can we help them work on setting up milestones and deliverables? Change is persuading massive numbers of people to stop what they've been doing and start doing something that they probably don't want to do. I don't honestly, I mean, of course, this is unsolicited. You don't ask me. I honestly would like to be in a classroom face to face. Probably I'm talking to you like a dinosaur. The new normal is I've got to be able to reach out to champions and specialists and experts and practicing professionals from somewhere thousands of kilometers away and still be able to establish that personal touch. How do you do it? I didn't want to do it, honestly. I have to. Meaning redefinitions. Now just imagine what's going to be happening. So tomorrow probably telepathy, not probably, I'm extremely confident with professors like you there, I'm sure it will all be telepathy. I'll sit here and then I'll be sending telepathic waves to my students. How do we resonate? How do we resonate? So there's nothing more difficult to carry out, nor more doubtful of success, nor more dangerous to handle than to initiate a new order of things. So, and this was said in 1513, 600 years back. That's a leader. 600 years back is able to visualize what is or where is this world headed. Can we make our students at least see change 6 months ahead, 6 years ahead? Let me not say 60 years. 6 months ahead, 6 years ahead. And how are we going to be cope with all those changes, radical changes? Ask. Where are we heading? Where are we heading? Look at anything that's happening. Everything and everywhere is changing. I'm sure, I don't think most of my friends here were with me today have experienced it. We have experienced standing in long queues and banks, and especially on a Saturday when the cashier would slam the door right on your face at 12:30. You had to only wait for a Monday 10:30, Monday morning 10:30 for the bank to open to draw your money. But today you have a right here. You have anything and everything. It's digital. So if you really look at even a cobbler or a painter, everything is radically changing. Have we changed? Are we changing? Yes, we are. But are we changing at the pace the others are changing? Maybe, maybe not. Perhaps yes, probably no. So how are we going to be doing it? How are we going to be redefining it? So the difference between what we do and what we're capable of doing would be sufficient to solve most of the world's problems. Again, a Superman who died 73 years back. If we realize this, then how many of us? Then as leaders, this is exactly what we need to send in very effectively and strongly with a lot of convictions that our students, our children, or the next generation is capable of doing something remarkable. But how do they do it? So finding the right solution often requires seeing the familiar and unexpected way. I'm coming back there again. Sorry. We have a strategic plan. It's called doing things. So friends, at this point in time, from now another 5 minutes, we slowly get into your talking and your thinking, because all this time I was doing it was a monologue. Do you have a strategic plan personally? Do you have a strategic plan in your department? Do you have a strategic plan in your staff room? Do you have a strategic plan in your college? Do you have a strategic plan in your university? Do you have a strategic plan in your higher education department in the state? If you say NO, do you also KNOW? If you say NO, no. Do you also KNOW? Ask. The only way to make progress in business is through change. And change, by definition, has a certain amount of risk attached to it. Tomorrow morning, okay, after the FDP, the 5-day program, you go and suddenly start implementing something in your department or colleges. Do you think people will automatically accept it? I don't think even people in your own homes will accept it. There is always a resistance to change. But then how do you communicate and how do you vision? How do you really bring in the leadership dimension, the leadership excellence to take people along with you? And that is workforce management. And increasingly, or I should say paradoxically, the more and more so-called educated and literate we are becoming, the more difficult it is to manage these people, because it's a bubble. But if you pick your shots, use your head, and apply good management, things to a large extent or comparatively is easier or better. I would not say just because of education, just because of skills, everything will suddenly change tomorrow and the earth will start spinning faster. No way. Life is going to be relatively easier. Are you your students? Is your environment outstanding, outperforming, outthinking, outdoing? Ask yourselves, please. Just breathe. Ask yourselves. Are your students? Is your college? Is your environment outstanding, outperforming, outthinking, outdoing? Like elite athletes, these champions hold on to their vision and do not yield to short-term demands. So the long-term vision, mental toughness is a defining characteristic and trait of champions in sports and in business. The winners in both domains. And why I'm bringing in the dimension of business and workplace is simply for the fact that even educational institutions and classrooms have to become like that. If you want to really look, I'm not just saying that you don't know and I know and I'm no way. If you really look at some extraordinary institutions of knowledge management and education institutions like the Harvard or the Yale or Stanford, they're all run like businesses. They have targets, they have goals, they have effectiveness indices, parameters, how and why not, what, all this, they run it like business. And students' expectations are like that. So placements are like that, training is like that, performance is like that, growth is like that, and everything is monitoring is like that, parameters are like that. We do that. So the winners in both domains expertly manage pressure, meticulously and systematically and methodically tackle goals, and drive themselves to stay ahead of the competition. They display a kind of grit that goes above and beyond the average will to succeed. It is not simply complying with rules. Attendance 75%. Come on, 100 classes, 75%, and my mother will tell you. 75, somehow do it. What have you done in that 75% classes that a student has attended? How is his project report better than whatever has happened over the last 23 years, 24 years, 25 years? What is the value he has added? What is his real IQ? As a 19 or a 20 or a 21 or a 22-year-old, has he really performed the way a 34 or 35-year-old somewhere in a developed country would have done? And why not? Why not? Are we ready to adapt to this change? That is leadership. And leaders bring in the other C's now. The other C's are the ability for competition, culture, challenges, costs, confidence, competence, clarity, compliances, China, I should say, classrooms, colleges, cricket. Of course, not something very pleasant on a Wednesday afternoon. COVID too. Are we ready to adapt to this change? Look at the C's now. Change is the only constant. How do we make that happen? Look at the eras of relative 20th century. Everything was stable, and you were able to exactly statistics class, 4th semester, chapter 7, page 173. The teacher also knew that this is the question that will come in the 3rd year, and this is the answer, and everybody knew it by heart, and wonderful. Everyone passed and everyone promoted. Everyone ended up as clerks. I'm sorry. That was the era of relative stability. What is happening in the world today? The whole thing is checkered. It is continuously driven by continual exponential advances in computation. You don't really know what is going to be happening tomorrow, and the past is never an indicator of the future. You cannot extrapolate it using a typical statistical model. How do you really hold? How do you really say, I've got it in my grip? I've got the world in my hands. How do you say that? Look at the 20th century and look at the 21st century. It is not only erratic, it is sporadic too. It is sporadic. It rains, it does not rain. Subsidies go up, taxes go up. If taxes go up, the direct taxes don't go up, the indirect taxes go up. If the indirect taxes go up, the inflation goes up. If the inflation goes up, your probability of even winning the next election also comes down. That means it is politics, economics, sociology, culture, accounting, finance, everything is integrated today. Everything is integrated today. And my student in the class needs to understand and comprehend it better, because he needs to know that his life revolves around that axis. We have moved from an era of equilibrium to a new normal, an era of constant disequilibrium. Business models and our ways of working, organizing, innovating, etc. needs to be reframed. And the reframing is done by leaders like you, champions like you. You will do it. You can do it. You are capable. You've got that potential. Dimension now is we also need a new mindset. How do we change mindsets? How do we set our minds to change mindsets? Look at some traits. Readers are leaders. Imitation is limitation. You can't be imitating someone else, something else, some other model. You've got to create your own. Unless you are distinct, either individually or as institutionally, you are extinct. So what are those dimensions that make your college or department distinct? If you're not updated, you're outdated. Mercedes-Benz says, the best or nothing. Can you just touch your hearts and say, my college, the best? We will give the best or nothing at all. Nothing in between. Tomorrow starts here. Cisco says, tomorrow starts here. Can you say that? Tomorrow starts at Babu. What you resist will persist. I don't want to change. I've got a job. I'll get my salary. I'll get my pension. I'll get my terminal benefit. So fine. Why? Back up my brain. No. You'll go on. Unless you're distinguished, you'll be extinguished. Control your destiny or someone else will. Control your destiny or someone else will. Look at some magic words. And I'm again blessed today. I said FDP. First December professors. And I'm blessed that I've got fantastically dedicated people with me here. FDP. It's a FDP five-day program. And it's a Wednesday. WEDNESDAY. And look at those words: status, attitude, culture, re-engineer, excellent, and discipline. Friends, just add positional values in the English alphabet to any of these words. STATUS, that's the 19th letter, 20th letter, first letter, 20th letter, 21st letter, and 19th letter. Similarly, attitude, culture, discipline, you will get 100. 100. Similarly, the day today is Wednesday, and I wish all my friends get 100% in whatever you dream, whatever you deliver, whatever you do. Wednesday is 23 plus 5 plus 4 plus 14 plus 5 plus 19 plus 4 plus 1 plus 25. That again adds up to 100. Thank you, Professor, for accommodating me on a Wednesday. What are the things that are dotting your world? Just look at this is just a snapshot. The rate of change, right from GDP to interest to inflation, everything, the rate is rapid. Consumer demands, diversity, aging population. Okay, demographic dividend in India, but across the world. Generation X, new technologies, shortage of faculty, flexibility, underserved populations, new work values. All of those things are dotting your world. Are we making our children capable? The next one is, I'm asking you, what are the things that are bubbling up in your world? The Gen Z, integration of technology, the IoTs, flexibility, Gen Z values. The new students are not like what you were in school. The projects today are not what you did then. What they are reading is not what you're reading. Where they're reading is not where you and I were reading. So how do you really manage and lead this generation? Think about thinking. Think about thinking. Cultivate the big picture thinking. Engage in focused thinking. Harness creative thinking. Just look at thinking. Utilize strategic thinking. Just the dimensions of thinking. It is not just think. Most of us think that we think. No. Most of us are worrying. Most of us are frustrated. Most of us are dejected. Most of us simply mulling and pondering. We're not thinking. Think about thinking. It's like breathing. It is like saying, hey, let me breathe in through my right nostril and then exhale through my. That means you are now seeing what is happening and what is not happening. Or if something is happening, is it happening the way it should happen? If there is something wrong, what is wrong? Where do I go? What do I do? Why is it wrong? All of these things are analysis, synthesis, understanding, undertaking, projects, assignments, learning, knowledge, applications, evaluations, monitoring, scoring, coming out with the best, shifting gears. Can you create something revolutionary? And leaders are ones who create something revolutionary. Just ask, just sitting wherever you are. Thank you so much for investing your afternoon with me today. Just ask yourselves, even at home, or in college, or in the city, or in your family, or in your neighborhood, in your society, community, fraternity, changing strategically. Have you changed? Have you helped someone change strategically? Are you responding tactically? Have you helped your students respond tactically? Evaluate holistically and do anything, analyze full spectrum, including the power usage at home, the water usage at home, the classroom you are utilizing those 55 minutes in a typical classroom. Are you thinking bottom line? What is that I got? What is that I invested? My time, energy, and effort. What is that I've got? What is that I can improve? What is that I can really inculcate? What is that I can imbibe? What is that I can innovate? Are you inspiring? And that's why someone said a leader. That's why anybody aspire to inspire before you expire. That inspiration comes from a leader. Aspire to inspire before you expire. And let's excel in niche areas. What are your niche areas? You got to identify them. And when do you identify it? Now, not today, now. There will be greater focus on innovation as organizations look for ways to redefine their business models. To grow, organizations will discover and put into action new sources of value. These are radical rethinking in addition to doing more with less. To doing more with less now. Optimum utilization of minimum resources. The challenge of one size fits all is unfortunately what's happening. A homogeneous product for a heterogeneous group. I have got one syllabus and one curriculum and one class teacher, one faculty, one way of doing it, one examination, one hall ticket, one evaluation, one marks card for 60 different minds, 60 different champion human beings in the classroom. Each one's aspirations, competencies, skill sets, capabilities, capacities, commitment focus is different. But I'm teaching the same thing. Why? Because it's a comfort zone. It is cozy. It is nice to be doing the same thing. If I teach the same thing for 17 years, 18th year, I can straight away from bed, I can get up and go to the classroom. I'm destroying the next generation. And leaders don't destroy, leaders create, leaders sustain. Leaders sustain. Only those who have the patience to do simple things perfectly will acquire the skill to do difficult things easily. Simple things, how to talk, how to sit, how to walk, how to smile, how to eat and how to drink, how to dress and how to close a door. These are small, simple, mundane things. But if I'm good at that, only then I'll be able to fly aeroplanes or fighter planes or get into Mars or Venus. You do not merely want to be the best of the best. You want to be considered the only ones who do what you do. And I'm sure I've got 63 champion leader friends here who have reached this level. Meaning, tomorrow, I live in a place called Mysuru in Karnataka, South India. If I want something, an area of excellence, I should be able to tell either my friend or my student, say, hey, you need this specific dimension and understanding of this or a model development or a project. You'll have to reach Professor Dr. Bharti Gawali here. She is the only one who will be able to do it in South Asia. Have you reached that stage? Ask, wonder, all over. Look at this. This is very, very alarming, my friends. I request your time and dedicated attention and concentrated focus on this specific slide, please. Because each time I read it, it shakes me. It says the surplus society has a surplus of similar colleges, employing similar professors with similar educational backgrounds, coming up with similar projects and assignments and classrooms and theories and examinations, producing similar students with similar marks and grades and ranks and similar quality. How do you expect the world to be different? Everything is similar. Everything is similar. How are you bringing in that element of change, difference? How? Yeah, even in your own departments, once you start working, this is the Moscow model. What are things that you must do, ought to do, should do, could do, overdo? You should overdo something excellent, overdo it. And something, whatever happens, come what may, hell or high water, devil or the deep sea, you won't do. Ethics and values and models and heritage and culture and tradition, reputation and image and brand, excellence and specialization. All these dimensions are brought in just by one model called a Moscow. The cross-functional excellence. Cross-functional excellence. Today, you cannot have one area of, you are a Superman, you are a Nobel Prize winner in physics, but he needs to know about the application of it somewhere in biology or chemistry or economics or accounting. The question is not whether we are able to change, we have to, but whether we are changing fast enough. You can't be resisting change anymore. Change is happening. Change is happening. One, let's admit it. Let's acknowledge it. Let's appreciate it. But then agility. Are you changing fast enough? So what's the right answer? See how there's a paradigm shift. What is the right answer? What is 2 + 2? 4. What comes after January, February? Wow. But what are the right questions? What are the right questions? Should we have taxes on petrol? Should we have GST on petroleum products? And if yes, how do you frame it? That's a question. I'm not suggesting in any way to radically change it from midnight today. No way. Now, unless you as leaders make your children ask the right question, that's why there's another area of excellence called smart questions for smart managers. And unless you're able to ask the right questions to the right people at the right time in the right intensity, you will not get the right answers. You will not get the right answers. So it's all about convictions and then the competence too. How do you really learn the art of questionology now? So let's gain a sense of the business ecosystem in which we operate. Seeing the big picture can help us set the stage for thinking strategically about our work, including the way we go, the way we handle a class, the way we sit the way we even conduct our parent-teacher meeting of the teachers, the department, inter-department, intra-department meetings. We need to know, we need to rework. What actions or plans and decisions might enable your team to help support your institutions and university strategies? What can you do? What will be the cost? What will be the revenue? What will be the time frame? What will be the efforts? What will be the resistance? That by itself is a research project. Who are your institution's customers? Your students, of course. What is that they want? Have we asked them? Or do we say, I am giving you this, you better come here. And I also make life difficult for him. I'll also say 75% attendance. Why? To sit through my class. What is that you are contributing to make him come on his own? Just imagine a shopkeeper near your house says, you have to buy from my thing and you have to buy whatever I give you at the price I charge and you have to come here 8 times in a month. That is exactly what we're doing in our colleges. I'll give you my syllabus, my examination, my hall ticket. I will twist your arms and you have to have 75% attendance. This is rank injustice. I mean, at least I only wish nobody fights on this. What could your team do to help your college fulfill the students' changing requirements? I want to be employed. I'm not saying that's heaven. I want to be with Apple or Facebook or Microsoft or Toyota or Mercedes-Benz in the next 5 years. How do you help me? How does this college help me? Now that's a leader. You can't say, I will teach you, you score, and if there is luck and if there is God, you will get. Oh, wait, then I would rather go and why join? I can be at home itself and trust my luck better than a college. Without being negative. Someone said, I was born intelligent. Education spoiled me. I was born intelligent. Education spoiled me. No. Look at the narratives that unfortunately we have helped generate after so many years of dedicated service to society. So meaning, where are teachers and the teaching community and the fraternity going? Where are the leaders? I suppose we need to seriously ponder over this. I'll just take it. By design, I'm taking it. What might you do to gain a broader perspective on your issue? Could you participate in more cross-functional task forces? Can you bring in all other professors in your college also to think on one thing, and how do you probably from different angles and directions and dimensions you look at a goal, look at a perspective? And that's why when I say look at a gap, when you say GAP, it's gaining another perspective. Let me gain another perspective. Let me gain a perspective of a professor of physics. Let me gain the perspective of a professor of history. Let me gain the perspective of a farmer who is sending his son to your college. Everyone's got a perspective. How do we now bring that, synthesize it, blend it, mix it, and make up and synergize it? How do we do that? Now, that is what a college as a research center and as a center of excellence must do. And if that has to happen, there should be leadership. And if that leadership has to be sustained, there should be excellence. And that is the theme of this program today. What steps could you take to create a playful mood? Meaning, every teacher and every student should look forward to going to school. Should say, hey, there's something. And at 5 o'clock, I should say, oh, I'm going to be missing another 16 hours. How do I wait till I come back tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning? How many schools, how many teachers really look forward to going to school that way? Where I contribute. It should be play. And even a Superman called Einstein and said, I never worked a single day because for every day it was play for me. Einstein was playing. Einstein was playing. How do we make that happen? Now, we can come up with a string of excuses and justifications. I want to, my principal will not let me. Come on, then you're not a leader. How do you convince? How do you convince this system? Now, I can again say, no, I want to play, but then parents will say, no, don't send my sons where they'll only play. Come on. Today, technology also says, you know better, let me not talk to you, you know better. Now, your models and highly advanced areas of excellence are taught through gamifications. I learn accounting, I learn econometric models through gamification. So it's all about playing. And that's why also you will also learn paradoxically, the human spurt in learning growth happens in the younger ages only. In the kindergartens and class grade 1, grade 2, phenomenal growth in learning happens. And then thereafter it stabilizes, and after some time then it starts dipping. How do we as leaders contribute now? Look at the M's. So the whole thing is, how do you get the edge in your colleges in cross-functional excellence that is scalable, feasible, replicable, learnable, acceptable, adaptable, and agile? How do you put all those M's that I was talking to you about? How do you make your children get mastery over all those M's? Ask. Look at the word profitable. If you just treat it, it says pro. That means you've got to be professional, you've got to be programmed, you've got to be pro something, you've got to proceed. And you've got to be fit, you've got to be capable, you've got to be skilled, you've got to be competent. And only then you become profitable. Only then your students will become profitable. Only then your colleges become profitable. Only then our universities will become profitable. Then only the bottom lines become stronger. The foundations become stronger. You are creating stronger narratives. How do we really make things happen? That is leadership. Making things happen is leadership. Not thing has happened, I will maintain it. I've got a beautiful plush air conditioner office. I will ensure that I've taken over a chair. I have signed it in the presence of someone on July 13th, 2018. 2023, I will retire. I will give the same chair in the same chamber with a bouquet. You've wasted 5 years of national resources. You've wasted. Look at the M's now. We're talking of M's and M's and M's and M's. Now the whole thing is disrupted. Ulta now. Even workforce starts with W. And look at the magic of this world. Everything in this world are all, look at everything that comes in W's. Who, what, where, why, when, world, water, woman, wisdom, winter, wonder, wealth, ways, weather, weight, ways, WWW. What do you wear? Wow. This comes with W's. So how do you make things upside down now? And now the who. What are we taught in school? Who did it? Who was the first inventor? Now you should be able to tell your students who else, who first, what next, what not. Where was the Declaration of Independence signed in? I can always Google it. Where else? Where is the capital of India? Is it strategically located? To ask my daughter. Engineering, brilliant, wonderful marks. I asked her, how do you apply the Archimedes principle in the contemporary global economy? She said, Mama, don't ask me about that. Now, I would love her as a father, as a biased father. But as a professional guy, now that is where, as leaders, we need to contribute in classrooms where our children not only stand erect, stand with the head held high, and are able to look kilometers away as vision. Why not? Why now? When not? When else? These are dimensions that our children should be able to face. The future is moving so quickly, my friends. that you can't anticipate. We have put a tremendous emphasis on quick response instead of planning. We will continue to be surprised. Yes, we will be surprised. But won't be surprised that we're surprised. We will anticipate the surprise. We will anticipate the surprise, including a small, typical run-of-the-mill smartphone. I should be able to say what is going to be the technological changes in the next 6 months, post which what will be the prices, and if there's a prices, who will be the brand ambassador, how will the advertisement be, and on which channel. All of those things a student has to be able to make. It is not 2 + 2 is 4. And that's why I say local, global, and global. It is not local and global. There's something in between. Make our children think global, act local. And that is where the responsibility and the onus and the accountability as leaders rests on our shoulders as teachers. Tomorrow's winning strategies will require information about events outside the enterprise. Non-customers. Technology is not in use. Markets not served at all. 2K21 will be more economically multi-tiered, culturally complex, and geographically heterogeneous than it was ever before. And that is why look at even advertisements, my friends. It says, Karlo Duniya Muthi Mein. Karlo Duniya Muthi Mein. Nobody says, Karlo Aurangabad Muthi Mein, Karlo Karnataka Muthi Mein, Karlo Pakistan Muthi Mein. No way. Karlo Duniya Muthi Mein. How do we make our children really walk through the doors of opportunities? How do we really say, I came, I saw, I conquered, Vini, Vidi, Vici? How do we say that? Julius Caesar, without university degrees, said that. What we think or what we know or what we believe is in the end of little consequence. The only consequence is we do. And that's why Nike says, just do it. Just do it. The leader makes it happen. Let's ask ourselves, do we have the leadership DNA in us? Are we do we have the leadership dimension in us by nature, or can we even nurture it? Nature and nurture. And we have to be leaders. Else people will not even look up to us. The illiterate of the future are not those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. It is a continuous process. It is a consistent process. It is a flow. It is fluidity. It's flexibility. It is something relentless. I don't want to improve. However, everything around me should be better, cheaper, faster, easily accessible, and distinctly unique. But I don't want to improve. Everything else should improve. It's a paradox. When products and processes and prototypes are consistently and consciously improving, and the customer drives part of it, why are people not improving? I always tell people, artificial intelligence and natural stupidity in coexistence. Artificial intelligence one side and natural stupidity on the other side. How do we as leaders contribute to ensure that everyone really gets into that path of prosperity? If language is not correct, and this is what Confucius says, if language is not correct, then what is said is not what is meant. If what is said is not what is meant, then what ought to be done remains undone. Get some smart questions. Friends, please. Now, this is where I'll just give you about 3 or 4 seconds after this question. I just want you to just sink it in. And there's nothing called a right or a correct or an apt or a proper answer. I just want you to say, hey, yes, what am I doing? That's all. First. For me, I'll say, for BAMU, I'll say BAM. The university, I'll say BAM, beyond and more. That's BAM for me. Beyond and more. Am I thinking beyond myself and my world so that I process ideas with a holistic perspective? Please ask yourselves, my friends, please. Please ask yourselves. 2. Sorry. Please. B and M. BAM. That's believing and making. Am I dedicated to removing distractions and mental clutter so that I can concentrate with clarity on the real issue? Now, what is the issue? What is the real issue? And once I find the real issue, am I able to concentrate and focus with clarity, convictions, competence? And once I identify that, do I know what are the mental clutters? What are the distractions? And once I have identified the distractions and the mental clutter, how do I remove them? And with what do I remove them? And by when do I remove them? It is a whole process. It is you. You are creating a leader yourself now. How do you do that? How do you do that? And have you started? Am I working to break out of my box of limitations so that I explore ideas and options, to experience nirvana, to experience eureka? For me, again, BAM is boxes and molds. Have you got yourselves into boxes and molds? I am this, I will not change. I am this, I can't change. I am this, why should I change? Dangerous syndrome called alliteracy. Illiteracy and literacy are things that we know, but alliteracy is a more dangerous syndrome where people say, why should I do it? And if I do it, if I change, if I grow, will I get something in return? It's illiteracy. Ask yourselves, am I building a solid mental foundation on facts so that I can think with clarity and certainty? BAM, beautiful and majestic. That's what university is. B, A and M, advanced and mature. As leaders, are you advanced and mature? And ask yourself, am I implementing strategic plans that give me direction for today and increase my potential for tomorrow? Do you have the potential? Do you have the substance? Do you have the material in you to be regarded and recognized and acknowledged and accepted as a universal, as a global leader in learning? Ask yourselves. BAM for me again, build and manage. Am I unleashing the enthusiasm of possibility thinking to find solutions for even seemingly impossible situations? This is not possible. My university will not allow me that. The government will not allow me that. The students' parents will not allow me that. My timings will not. Anything. There are a whole lot of resource myopia in most of us. Don't worry. It is natural. Then ask this question of yourself on a Wednesday afternoon. I know, just give me another 15 minutes. I'd be able to say, like a typical air hostess, window shades up, seats upright, seat belts on. We will shortly be landing. We will shortly be landing. Just 15 minutes. We are cruising. Please. BAM, bask and mask. We are basking in the glories. You know what my father did? You know what my grandfather did? You know how we do? Wow, wonderful. But what are you doing now? Am I regularly revisiting the past to gain a true perspective and think with understanding? I think so many things, but each time I think, do I understand? Do I apply? Do I monitor? Do I know the ramifications? Do I know what will happen, what will not happen, what can happen, what could happen, what had happened, what should happen? That's a leader. That's a leader. PM for me, Bharat Mahan. How do we as leaders make my country a superpower? Am I consciously rejecting the limitations of common thinking in order to accomplish uncommon results? Extraordinary results using ordinary resources, ordinary people. Extraordinary, stupendous, radical, revolutionary results using ordinary resources, ordinary people, ordinary infrastructure. Am I consistently including the heads of others to think over my head and achieving compound results? Are you discussing with people? Are you synchronizing? Are you associating? Are you mingling? Are you blending? Are you mixing? Are you partnering? Are you marrying? Are you wedding with different people of different capabilities so that you become a better version of yourself? It is not just a software becoming better versions. Have I become a better version of myself compared to even 2020, 2019, 2018? Or am I the same? Am I stuck? Am I continually considering others and their journey in order to think with maximum collaboration? Leader. That is workplace management. The workplace for you, for us, is a classroom, an institution, an organization, a college, my home, my neighborhood, my society, my community, my fraternity. Am I staying focused on the bottom line so that I can gain the maximum, optimum return and reap the complete, total, full potential of my thinking? How sharp, how wide, how broad, how razor sharp is your thinking? How deep? So let's smell the coffee. Something is happening. Something has already happened. Much water has flown down the stream. Let's smell the coffee. Let's wake up. Let's know what's happening. Let's know what are the solutions. Let's know how you can contribute and how you can contribute as leaders and how you can excel at becoming and being leaders. How you can become role models. How you can become real people who the world looks up to. And the world for you today is a young, bright-eyed student. The challenge is, how do we match necessity to utility, constraint to possibility, and need to demand? How do we discover patterns when others see complexity and confusion? We need to synthesize new ideas from seemingly disparate fragments, and we need to convert problems into opportunities. And that's why, my friends, there are new words in the dictionary today. Proportunity, which means every opportunity, every problem is an opportunity. Every problem is an opportunity. Proportionality. No two people think alike on everything. No two people feel the same way at all times within a relationship. No two people want the same things or want them at the same time. People operate from different timetables. We are, in fact, autonomous, different, and unique beings. Yet we are at the same time dependent on others, interdependent. We need them to help us get many of the things we want or not prevent us from getting them. We are also dependent on others to validate our existence and worth. How do we add value to one another? How do we add value to ourselves? The more value we add to ourselves and the better versions we become ourselves, that is what differentiates you and defines you as a leader. And that is the leadership excellence. The sequential, concurrent, and parallel processes that are focused on achieving a set objective, a goal, a vision, a mission, a target, an objective. Incorporating the philosophy, people, processes, practices, protocols, plans, problem-solving approaches, perspectives, perceptions, and positioning them all strategically and tactically with perfect assessment protocols is what defines a leader in the world today. Tomorrow, let me be very honest, I don't know what the definition will be. Have we changed? Are we changing? Are we helping people change? And unless we are contributing to all this in concrete and abstract terms, in measurable terms, we are not leaders. How do we do that? How do we redefine it? So I would say leader is learn extensively, LE, AD is adapt dynamically, and ER is excel responsibly by planning purposefully, preparing powerfully, proceeding positively, pursuing persistently, positioning proactively, profiting productively. That's a leader. And I'm sure all my friends here have all these dimensions in abundance. And this is just to close now. I'm just taking you through a walk on what workplace management, especially from a dimension of teamwork, is all about. These are dimensions of teamwork. And if you feel that you need to stop me and indulge in a chat, I'd be more than happy doing it. Nevertheless, I'll just take you through, take you on a journey here. Stage one, see 5 stages: the forming and the storming and the norming and the performing and their journey. Now, anywhere of whatever size and scope and spectrum and challenges exist. This is typically how teams form, even in your college. There are your principal calls you on a specific assignment. No, I would say no, I would say yes, I may. All this happens. Not that you do it intentionally. Forming. And then this storm, there's a brainstorming and an inverse brainstorm. Then norming, it settles down. And then you start performing and monitoring and evaluating and scoring, benchmarking, going beyond what you yourself did the previous year, what you are doing vis-a-vis the other colleges. And then you adjourn and take up newer projects and newer assignments. And then again, the circle starts and the cycle begins. These are different models. I mean, this is from a theoretical perspective, so that, as practitioners, you know what's happening around the world. These are some roles which people play. The next slide is very interesting, and I'm sure you'll be interested in knowing who you are. What is your personal communication style? Are you the noble, someone who says what's in his or her mind? I mean, fine. I mean, as long as it is honest and correct and true without hurting someone's sentiments and sensibilities, you'll just say, yeah, you'll just talk. Na muh chupa ke jiyo, na sar jhuka ke jiyo. Are you that? Or are you Socratic? I mean, each time you open your mouth, you think, and what will be, what was thing? Did I say this? When I said this, nobody acted on this. What is the impact? You think of all these things and then talk. Why not? Some are reflective. What the others may think, what will others say? Should I talk before or after? Wonderful. There's a magistrate, whoever talks, he'll talk in between. He passes judgments. There's a candidate, he's always trying to sell. And there's a senator. So which of these? And most of us will fall into this, and there can be even blends of 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3 also. It is not that you are a standalone. But then to a large extent, a communication style. So you got to first identify what is your distinct and unique communication style. What is the distinct and unique communication style of others in the team, and accordingly talk. So it will be like playing music. It's like an orchestra. Then perfect. Every instrument will be perfectly played and wonderful music is generated. So again, that is workplace management. That's workplace management. Look at the decision styles. Some are directive. They prefer simple, clear solutions. Some are analytical. Some are conceptual. Some are behavioral. So you know yourself better. But the principal idea here, the main idea here is one, know thyself. Know thyself. As Socrates said, know thyself. First, you got to know who you are. Aham brahmasmi. I need to know who I am, my potential, my capabilities, my weaknesses, my limitations also. Similarly, of the other person and the other persons in the team, and accordingly, you need to be flexible. And that is how you effectively manage workplaces. You cannot say my way or the highway. You cannot say however best your intentions are, you cannot rub it in. You cannot say this is the only way it will happen. Why not? How do you accept it? How do you accept people? How do you accept their right? How do you give room for someone to contribute? So the brainstorming. Now that is where you first need to know who you are first. And that paradoxically, that's what is missing in most of us most of the time. And we only try to understand who the others are and what the other styles are. First understand ourselves and then accordingly play. About conflicts. Yes, conflicts are not necessarily negative. Conflicts generate a whole lot of positive climate too, because only when there is a conflict, you know that there is something simmering inside. And once you know or you don't know, it is only then you put your views across, you put your opinions across. There can be a clash of opinions. There can be conflict. Then how do you manage conflicts? Now that's the workplace management. Managing things. Managing in such a way that all time your focus needs to be to motivate and inspire people around you, your team, your players, your reportees, people who you report to see a shared common vision. All of us. It could be 2.5 lakh people working under one organization banner. It could be 5 people working. It could be 8 people in the department. But do all of you have the same vision? And creating that vision, sharing that vision, taking people along, managing their conflicts, understanding different decision styles, different communication patterns is what leadership excellence is all about. And workplace management is so crucial and critical and vital in the present, in the contemporary and the emerging areas in any workplace, whether it is in a typical workplace or office outside, in a college or institution, or even remote working. Whether it is a man, woman, or child, whether it is old or young, where new joinee, reporting, anyone, you need to be able to understand the other man. But it's all about human resources. It's about understanding people. It's understanding their thinking methods, the thinking modes. Why are they doing it? Why are they not doing it? And again, the influence, the illiterate of the future are not those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Just ask ourselves. And any leader is always learning, always learning. He's always unlearning, and he's willing to unlearn. He's willing to listen to the others. He's willing to take others' ideas and opinions and views and viewpoints and justifications and relearn. And he also knows that he has to be constantly updated, otherwise he'll be outdated. He has to be distinct. He knows in which vertical he needs to grow. How does he do it? How does he do it? Great things, my friends, are not done by impulse. Things suddenly will not revolutionarily change in your colleges on Saturday when you get back after this 5-day program, but by a series of small things brought together. 2, 3. That's why even when Neil Armstrong landed on moon on the 21st of July 1969, he said, a small step for man, a great leap for mankind. Small step. Small steps in technology, small steps in digital technology, small steps in manufacturing technology. But then something spectacular is happening. Same way, you need to be able to, as leaders, bring in small things step by step in your classroom, and you can see phenomenal things happening in just 6 months, 9 months, 15 months, 18 months. The next generation will stand to gain by your thought process, by your leadership dimensions. If you look at institutions that have done really well out there, any institution you may name, right from Toyota to Benz to Microsoft to Google to Infosys or Larsen and Toubro, they have great strategies, but they are maniacal implementers. Once they come out with strategies and tactics and plays and ways and means and the way ahead, the roadmap, they start implementing it to the T, to the last inch or centimeter or millimeter. They do not deviate. The variations also are monitored and corrected. Corrections happen. So the corrections, connections, and collections are happening continuously. How does that happen? How does that happen? So the whole thing is about how do you win? How do you win? So as leaders, my friends, as a takeaway, my mantra is, what is next? A student should be able to think, what is next? What is next in any dimension, concrete or abstract? Once you sow that seed of confidence in the student, you are a leader. And that is leadership excellence. That is leadership excellence. Thank you so much. I had a wonderful time with my friends here. And I'm willing, I've got the time and the inclination also to take any query or clarification if you need. I understand being day 3 and end of the 3rd session, you'll all be tired and probably looking forward to getting back home. Nevertheless, I've got the time and the inclination. So thank you so much. I had a great time with all my friends, and thank you, Dr. Bharti, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with great leaders. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I am speechless after hearing your wonderful and mind-blowing session. And I'm sure
not hearing you, Professor.
participants are requested to write their questions into a chat box. Usually question comes when nothing is understood, or question don't come if everything is so well absorbed. So I'm not getting any question. It means it is so well absorbed.
So,
I'm sure it must be. So I have a list to thank you for, but to name and to say a few thank you for wonderful expansion of FDP, where you said 1st December with the professors,
yeah, that's
5 day,
FDP for me. Okay.
5 day
Program.
program. There are many. You really taught us how to play with the word with the beautiful meaning and context. That is
Thank you so
something
much.
which is a takeaway, at least for me, and I'm sure it must be for all the participants too. Again, thank you for making us aware about the different styles of writing or different ways of spelling Bamu.
Yeah, okay.
So it was wonderful. It was really wonderful. From henceforward, whenever I'm going to spell Bamu, it will definitely going to bring something new wordings and new expansion of Bamu. So
Thank you so
I'm
much.
really very thankful, and seeing the university or our institution with different meanings and different properties, it really matters a lot for the person who are working with the institutions.
Thank you. And I'm
Thank you
sure
for
you'll all
taking.
do that.
Uh,
In between, I'm sorry, I'm breaking your flow of thought because I should really thank my friend Pramodini, Dr. Pramodini, there, because I see her name also in the chat, and we were together in Pune.
yeah.
So happy to see her. Thank you, Professor Pramodini. Great.
You have taken academic leadership in completely different domain where we uh, without you we could have not thought of the angle that you have given to academic leadership specifically, where you have bridged up the gap between the management of different types of businesses and management of academics. It is something which is very unusual to hear. So it's wonderful. Education system actually needs performance orientation.
Exactly.
That's what you have pinpointed in a very proper and a very explanative way, that everyone will think about it during its brainstorming after your session. You
Professor,
have
to add
spelled,
to
yeah.
that,
Mhm.
like SmithKline Beecham, the British company, long back had said, I remember in the late 90s, they
Uh,
said, a beautiful statement. If you are not scoring, you're just practicing the set. Hey,
uh,
if you're
uh,
if you're not scoring, you're just see. Unfortunately, what has happened to most of our educational institutions in India is we don't have that element of accountability in terms of evaluation matrices.
actually.
So I don't know whether you are really contributing, your institution has really contributed to someone's employment prospects. Have you made someone employable? Has someone seen a distinct growth? There are no indices at all. Now,
Mm.
unlike you look at some prestigious centers like a Harvard or a Stanford, I mean, I'm increasingly bringing these names, or a Massachusetts Institute of Technology, they are even competing with one another in their ecosystem to even attract the best talented research scholars also.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
unless that happens here, so what happens is, at the end of the day, I am happy that I have attended, I have done my work, I have not cheated. Right? Wonderful. Now, that is what you have to offer. I mean, in terms of products, it is a warranty that your product has to give. But
Mm.
unless you give something spectacularly different, you have not contributed as a leader. You're only a
Mm.
manager.
Right, right.
Yeah, these dimensions have to come in from business. From different angles, education also has to borrow the best practices from elsewhere.
True, true, true. And you have shown us how to spell leadership in a profitable
Yeah,
way.
profit.
This is very nice. I mean, proactively fitting for putting some able qualities in the students. It's the need of an hour where the teachers will going to play a very important role. So we all got so much inspired, and this inspiration will definitely go a long, long way. And
It's so much.
summarizing the whole thing that you have said is doing will bring transformation.
Yes.
That's what I can summarize the whole what you have thoughtfully shown us and shared with us. We are really very thankful for being with
So
us
much.
for this
Indeed,
particular
a
session.
wonderful opportunity. I always consider this a privilege, to be spending quality time with highly educated professors, because it rubs off. It rubs off.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us for this
Satsang.
particular session. Thank you once and all.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to being in touch. Take care. God bless. All the very
Thank
best.
you.
I wish this program all success, because you've really visualized it wonderfully well, right from the start. And that's exactly why I was also always insisting on how the whole thing panned out over 2 days and the third day, and how it's going to be also, tapering off on day 4 and 5. So the whole thing, you have really stitched it well together. That itself is workplace management.
Thank you for appreciation. Yeah.
So much.
Thank you. Good
Do
evening
well,
to
and I
everybody.
wish all my friends who are with me all great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, dear participants, for being there for this session. And we will all going to meet at 9:45 tomorrow in the morning for the session on IPR. So have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Harish sir, once again.
So much, Professor. God bless. Thank you.